Hey guys, okay, so I had chapters 4 and 5. In chapters 4, I guess it was kind of chapters 4 and 5. I made the connection in 4, and then reading through chapter 5, I realized that I could also make that connection in chapter 5. So I guess it's kind of a combination of both. I connected to SpongeBob and a lot of younger TV shows, and how what it advertises and what it says in its shows can reach a variety of audiences. It can reach towards children with little kids jokes and them being funny, but also it has a lot of adult content in it, which I think is really entertaining, especially because when you're little you don't catch these things, but then when you're an adult then you start to see the different things that it has, that it reaches out to the different age groups. I think it's nice because instead of just having a show that reaches out to kids that's really boring for adults to watch, it can be entertaining for both adults and children, and then it reaches out to a big variety of ages. That the older you get, the more you start to see, and the more that it changes and the more it reaches out. I also made a connection to the advertisements, the attracting audiences. It reminded me a lot of politics and politicians, with like spending a lot more money on advertising, and the more you spend the better you are, and that the politicians that don't have a lot of money sometimes get kind of like forgotten about because they don't have signs everywhere, and they don't have Pandora ads and ads on the radio as much because they can't afford it. So I think that's really interesting that like the more money you have, the more that you can advertise, the more that you can reach out to everyone through Pandora, videos, TV, ads, signs everywhere, people, etc. And I think that it definitely reaches towards a variety of audiences, especially signs outside on the street, because kids start reading them and they're like, oh, look, vote for this person. Because I know that my brother's done that a couple of times, just been like, well, I've seen this person's ads everywhere, so obviously we should vote for him. But also makes me not want to vote for them as much when they start throwing other politicians under the bus, when it's like, I feel like they should have a little bit more maturity than what they are showing. In chapter 5, I made a connection to the lack of maturation connection. I made this connection to one of my friend's nieces. I think it's really interesting, and whenever I go over there, the grandparents are always trying to read with the kindergartner, and kindergartners don't know a whole lot of words. They know a lot of sight words, and words I used to seeing and hearing, but the grandparents would always have them read really difficult books, and then they would kind of argue or get frustrated with the little girl if she wouldn't be able to read all the words correctly. And so it was really frustrating for me to be over there and hear them getting frustrated with the little girl if she wasn't saying all the words right, or if she was missing words that were normal for that book. And so I started having her read with me, and I would read through the book while I pointed out the words, and then I would have her read it through afterwards. I also connected to the example about Joey, who's the young child that plays aggressive video games. I connected this to a babysitting experience that I once had, where it was my first day on the job, and I went to meet the kids, and one of the three-year-old came up to me with an iPad and showed me a Shark Attack video, and I was amazed, and I was really confused on why she was watching a Shark Attack video at that age. I talked to the mom, and the mom didn't seem too bothered by it, and she didn't seem like she was concerned that the child was watching a Shark Attack video, but I didn't know if that child was actually registering what was going on, if she's used to watching dragons fly and like How I Met Your Dragon. I wasn't sure if she realized that what she was watching was like actually a bad thing, or if she thought it was just like all imagination and that they didn't actually happen in real life. So I wasn't really sure how I felt about that. I thought it was a little interesting that they were watching Shark Attack videos and that the mom didn't seem to mind, but you know, it seemed like the little girl wasn't too surprised by it, or that she wasn't bothered by it, so, I mean, I guess that's a good thing. And then, let's see, I made one more connection to, I guess, page 87 on field independency, when I talked about getting lost in a story or getting so confused halfway through a book. I guess this happens to me a lot when I'm reading textbooks, where I start reading and 3 paragraphs later I realize I have no idea what I just talked about. So I tend to try to read textbooks out loud to myself a lot, because I think I actually register what I'm trying to read. If I don't, then I usually end up dozing off, or I end up not realizing what I'm reading. Alright, thanks guys.